Hey, what's up, guys? This is Flavors. I glove from Mind Theater Salt Lake, and I wanted to do a quick tutorial for you guys today on storytelling. Now, storytelling, I've noticed, is kind of like the main thing that I see missing from the vast majority of light shows I get from people. I mean, you can learn all the moves you want, but if you don't know how to put them together in like a communicative way, then really you're just like waving your lights around, going from one move to another, and frankly, there's just no emotion in it. And you need emotion in gloving because that's what really makes it an art. And the storytelling aspect of it especially is what makes it an art form. So you can really tell those who view it like that and those who don't. The first part of this I wanted to talk about is keeping a continuous picture. So a lot of people, when they're gloving, you'll see them like throw a sequence that they know, but you'll be able to see when their sequences break, when you can tell that like their sequence is over and they're just going to go into liquid or into whatever else they're going into. The best glovers keep one continuous picture for the entire show. So if something moves, at no time does their hands just reset. If something moves, they just keep it from there and go into something else from that position. But you want to make sure you want to make your hands reset as few times as possible. A big part of this is transitioning, which is something that honestly just takes time. It's hard to kind of like practice transitions because it really comes with you understanding your concepts that you have and the beginning hand positions and end hand positions of them and where you can go from those hand positions. A lot of this has to do with web theory. I don't know if you guys have read up on that. I'll post a link to it down below. But Jest from Minnesota Mind Melt and TLNT, he wrote something on it. You guys can read that. But basically what it's saying is that from each of these hand positions, at any time when you're going, you can slow it down to different hand positions. And from any of these points, you can take your show in a different direction. So take those sequences that you already know, and instead of trying to connect the concepts that you already know, take the sequences you have, and when you hit a point where you can notice that you're stopping the sequence and just kind of like breaking free, pause your hands and see what other directions you can take that move in. This is the best way to get transitioning down. A lot of people try to connect their concepts, but if you learn to expand off the concepts you have, they'll naturally end up coming together at some point. Let's see here. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, okay. A big part of making your transitions and your picture continuous is not really thinking of your hands, not really thinking of your moves as moves, but instead thinking of your hands as like tools that you're using to paint the picture in front of you. Think about it like a canvas. And you have all these different hand positions, and what can you do with these hand positions? What image can you paint for the viewer? Another very important thing to think about with your light shows is you want to keep your shows very forward-thinking. So, I mean, you can keep a picture continuous, but if you're just going over the same point over and over on your shows, or you're just doing this over and over, that's going to get boring. You want to keep it very forward-thinking. The less you can go over the same path you've already been over, the better. So when you go out, maybe flip it, take it somewhere else. Always keep the image pushing forward instead of like repeating moves that you've already gone over. And then the last couple things I wanted to talk about real quick was showmanship and musicality and like speed changes. This is all stuff that kind of comes with how strong of a vision you have for what you're wanting to portray to the viewer, because you want to make sure if you're just throwing moves and you don't have any showmanship and you don't have any musicality, it's going to look boring, and there's just not going to look like there's any emotion behind your show. And since gloving isn't art, it's a way to communicate, at least that's the way I see it, and without focusing on your speed changes and your musicality and your showmanship, you aren't sending across a very strong message. So you want to make sure that like songs, when they get mellow, when they get slow, so do your hands. Then maybe they'll slow down, maybe they'll like drift apart from each other and come back in slowly, you know. When songs get more intense, you want them to start building, and then like on drops or choruses, you want to like let it all out, make your show as intense as possible. And the last thing, this has to do with, I guess, showmanship and musicality, is make sure that when you're telling your story that it has an intro and outro. You do want it to build, you want it to hit like a climactic point, and you want it to kind of drop off at the end. If your entire show is of one intensity level, then it's really going to be very monotone. Really, you just have to remember that it is a performing art. Not enough Glovers see it as an art. Give the viewer a performance and make them feel it, put emotion into it. And honestly, all those other things, musicality, showmanship, all that stuff will come naturally if you have a strong vision for what you're wanting in your light show. So, I hope this helped, at least some of you. Let me know if you guys have any questions or if there's anything you would like to add. There's a lot that I didn't touch on, because storytelling is very broad and it's very individualized. So everyone sees it differently. Let me know your thoughts. MT Flavors out. Peace.